3, 1. Hi guys to everyone, I'm Ada from Poison Rock, and today I'm back in my, let's say, genre, folk music, with an amazing woman today, Ember Belladonna. First of all, how are you, Ember?
Hello, I'm so good. How are you?
We are good. Me and all the other people from Poison Rock are good. It's just a cozy Sunday night here. From there in Canada, it's midday, almost 1 p.m., something like that.
Yeah, it's just turning 1. We have
Yeah.
a beautiful snowy cold day outside. It's great.
Okay, so the winter is, I mean, the winter
Hmm.
already arrived, I guess. But as well, y-
Yeah.
your album is gonna to be almost in less than a month now. It's gonna be released
Hmm.
the 9th of February, The Grove.
Yeah.
Of course, and now we're gonna speak about, of course, the album and the first single, Spirit Woman, because of course the title has, something that is interesting because, of course, the spiritual world, the spiritual awakening of a woman is always something that people that follow post rock knows is interesting to me, especially. But of course, I want to ask you before about above everything else, your background, your musical journey, because you are an amazing flute musician, flute player, and I mean, how start your journey and your choice of these choose of this particular instrument? Because they give it to us, at school sometimes, but going on and be really passionate about something. I mean, it must be a code or something.
Yeah, I always kind of have to start this story way back. I started playing flute when I was 9 years old. I was put into lessons very classical based. So for years and years I was learning classical music. I played in school band, I played in orchestra, everything like that. And so a few years after I started playing, probably into the start of high school,
Yeah.
was when I started discovering other genres of music and like absolutely fell in love with metal music. So it was kind of this weird um separation because the music I was playing and then the music that I was listening to all the time just
Yeah.
wasn't the same. But I'd kind of always had this dream of being able to combine the two. And then so, later on as I just started discovering more and more music as I was growing up, I think the album that like really sticks in my mind is Paradise Lost by Symphony X.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I had ever heard orchestral music and
Yeah.
metal music together, and it was just so cool. And then from there I discovered folk metal
Yeah.
and just this huge new
War.
world of music for me, for like teenage Emma. And yeah, and then just over the years, I really wanted to find a way to be able to combine those genres, but also to make the flute kind of the forefront of that. So I'd been working really hard for years and just experimenting with different sounds, different combinations of
Of course, because
instruments.
your, let's say, your collection of flutes is really impressive. So, and because as well, like, for example, when we have a guitarist, we usually ask about is, let's say, its gear. So for people, because of course we have people, there are people in the world that are, of course, flute, they play flute, they play harps, and maybe they could be interested even in playing, starting to play flute, because it's beautiful. Once you are able to mastering, you can create, come on, an amazing medieval folkish sound just with the flute itself. So
Yeah.
in Europe, being an expert now completely, because it's your instrument, would you recommend to someone that is a beginner, even speaking about a little bit more technically?
Just in terms of
Yeah,
like what types of flutes to
flute.
get.
Yes, exactly. And the one that you,
Yeah.
for example, like the most to play.
Yeah, I mean, I have a classical flute, which is typically the one that most people start in.
Mhm.
If you're in a place that does school band, that's typically the
Exactly.
one that you'd start with. So I do have that instrument, and then the one that a lot of people get really excited about is the glissando head joint, which is I like to describe it as like a whammy bar for the flute, which is what gets those really big pitch bends, the head joint moves, so people always find that really fun to watch. So that was kind of the next step up of me upgrading my gear. And then I also have a lot of digital guitar plugins, and so like guitar amps, guitar pedals, distortion plugins. And so when I record my flute, I can run it through these different plugins, and that's how I get the huge range of sound. So it's got everything to a flute that sounds just a little bit off to something that sounds more like a guitar, and you wouldn't actually
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that it's a
yeah.
flute.
It's beautiful, and that's a really because it's a really versatile. I mean, did you ever consider it about, I don't know if you play other instrument or switching instruments sometimes, like or if you have other interests, because I don't know, you can be a guitar player, you want to play drums as well.
I played keyboards and piano
Okay.
quite a bit for a lot of years, and it kind of set the basis for me to be able to songwrite really well,
Okay.
which was great. And I just have been so focused on the flute the last couple years that I almost haven't
Of course.
touched my piano or other instruments. So I did have a wider range of instruments, and I've really narrowed it down to
Yeah.
mostly just flute
But of
lately.
course, I mean, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
because of course, like because let's say before releasing Spirit Woman, I think that as well your musical journey, let's say proper musical journey, started maybe with your some collaboration that you did, because I saw something that on your social media, and as well, congratulations, because you're going to be a TikTok star almost. You're reaching out to millions of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been really overwhelming how many have seen like and heard Spirit Woman in like the last 5 days. It's over 1.3 million now, which is just incomprehensible to me.
Because it's beautiful. That's it's kind of a music that always connects us to the nature, to our inner self. It's always therapeutic on music. Let's say all the folkish music, they can be metal or just simple folk Nordic, dark folk, always connect with our inner self. And like we were saying, you started like, of course, before I think that like we are saying, you had collaboration or something. So before focusing about Spirit Woman and the Grove, let's speak a little bit about your collaboration that you had. I don't know, the funniest moment that you remember during some collaboration. A little background that we are gonna go around about you.
Yeah, so are you wondering about collaborations with the
Yeah.
Inferno doll?
Yeah, for example, of
Yeah.
course, because of course, like for people that I mean, we're speaking about 1 million person, they already know that, but they already knew that. But of course, in Spiritual Woman, there is the featuring of Laura Inferno from Inferno Dolls. So I did the collaboration with them as well in the prior.
Yeah, that's been kind of the biggest one. Like the two of us have had a really good collaboration over the last couple of years. And we originally worked together on her song Renfields that came out, I think, 2 years ago now. So we met virtually and collaborated on this song together, and it was the first time that we had been able to put the flute and the metal vocals and all of this and put our two styles together, which was really fun. And then we met for the first time when we filmed the music video for that song.
So the
And it just worked so well. Like I love her so much, and we just have such a good collaborative relationship that I had to have her on this album. And so we worked together again on this song, and lots of sending files back and forth and video notes, talking about ideas, and just both of us putting our entire creative energy into this song, and it turned into something really cool.
Yeah, and of course, yeah, because of course, Spiritual Woman, we can imagine about from the title that it has something coming from the spiritual world, something from the spiritualism. So it can be, I don't know, our inner self, like we say prior, or I don't know, divine feminine energy. It can be anything. But of course, you are the writer behind it. So wanted to speak about, or let's speak about it.
Yeah, so we had done some research, and we had done a lot of reading into different lore, like a lot of Celtic lore and
Okay.
Scottish lore and legends and fairy tales and stuff like that. But I mean, ultimately, I love your interpretation, because ultimately the song is about a woman taking back her power. She's been wronged by someone, and she is taking
Exactly.
back her power. And that is essentially the lyrics of the song.
Yeah, and of course about because of course let's say that it's kind of it's not a bet because of course like we said the union between folk and metal it's it's been done, but with this beautiful voice of Laura it's kind of as well of a bet. I mean, but like we saw already, people is reacted like did you expect about all these appreciation with, I mean, from people all over the world, really?
No, no, it's been a complete surprise. And I think the thing that people are finding the most interesting is that they listen to it and they hear a guitar, and then they see the recording process and it's not a guitar, it's a flute. And that really catches people off guard and intrigues them, and they want to know more about it.
Yeah, and it's beautiful because of course in the Grove there are as well other collaboration that you that other
Mhm.
singers. So let's mention them because of course, and I you met them. In which song we can find them? Because I saw some posts on Instagram about that. So
Yeah, yeah. So the first one we'll talk about is The Grove, and that one features the dark-eyed musician. She is a beautiful, beautiful Celtic fantasy singer. She has the most stunning voice. And we had followed each other for a while on Instagram again, and I had asked her to sing on this album. And I kind of wanted it to be like the theme song for the album. It has
okay,
the same title, the Heart of the Grove, with
yeah,
the Grove album. And I just wanted it to be sort of like this fantasy anthem of just getting lost in the forest and going on an adventure. And I think she just nailed that with the vocals. And then the third song features James Delbridge from Lycanthro. They are a Canadian power metal band. They're also awesome. And James, again, mutual connection. I had asked him to sing on this song, and this one I think was one of my favorite collaborations because I had written a very small vocal part for him and sent it to him, and he went, yeah, absolutely, I'll record it. And then a few days later he got back to me and said, hey, I've been listening to this song, I've got some really good ideas for more vocals, can I play around with it? And I said, yes, absolutely. And then he sent it back, and it's just like he turned into an entire choir for the song. It was just so cool. There's
there was
so many moving parts, and it
yeah,
just turned so epic.
that,
So it's
that's
fun. Yeah, it's
what
fun
you
to have
mean
that
for
collaboration.
that's the actual term of collaboration, the actual meaning of it. You sending
Mhm.
like a part of, I mean, what is the song of kind of let's say a part of the song, kind of part of the lyrics, and he comes back with more words, more part of the lyrics too. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
That's what is actually collaboration.
Mhm.
And
Um,
yeah,
can I just mention one more thing? So I should
oh,
mention that
sure.
I wrote all of the songs and gave the singers guidance, but they all wrote the lyrics. They all wrote their own lyrics for the song, and they
That's
all did
beautiful.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
basically, let's say that you are the writer behind the sound, the melodies, and they are the writer behind the lyrics.
Yes.
But the theme, the topic of the album, of course, I think comes from you,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is, I mean, which is about, I mean, the main topic. I mean, the main, yeah, the main theme behind the growth.
Yeah, ultimately, I think it's, as we've talked about, just that
Yeah,
connection with nature that you get from folk music. And
thanks.
in a lot of legends and myths, the Grove is often a place of magic and a place of
Yeah,
power, and it's a portal between worlds. And I had this idea of creating a set of songs that encapsulates everything that would happen in this place of power. So the people that would journey through it, and
beautiful.
the magic that would happen there, and just trying to create that whole journey through music.
Yeah, so basically it's kind of it's kind of like a place of a meeting, of exchanging as well, like a kind of, like to make something more, let's say, contemporary, like and like, for example, let's say an airport, when there are people going through different directions, so then you can meet people and then meet other people, like a kind of interconnection, kind of. But there's
Mhm.
between among all these, because of course nature, I think, is the common basis all of the between all of the cultures we have around. But there was one main, let's say, I don't know, Celtic Northern culture that influenced you in the writing of the music, or the, for example, even in your, like you, like in Emma, like in yourself.
Yeah, I think I focused a lot when I was getting inspiration for this
Okay.
album on Celtic and Scottish and Welsh lore. I found tons of old books and manuscripts and legends and just really immersed myself in that, small part of the world and the history of those places to really
It's
inspire the
beautiful. Let's say that it's a kind of little bit, it's not like, because for what I listen, it's not like proper, let's say, like the fantasy music that you heard, that is too, it's beautiful, but let's say it's too much fantasy, that it's something that I always as well, because I think it's for the element of nature that connects
Mhm.
everything in your music. And let's say, I mean, I think that nature as well had some kind of influence in your life as well. So let's say, how could be a perfect day in nature of Emma?
Perfect day in nature. Oh, I love that question.
I love nature.
Yeah, I think it's either going out and spending time in my garden. I'm really lucky to have my own garden.
I do.
I love spending time out there. Or else just getting outside of the city and the area that I live, it's really easy to get lost in nature just going not too far out of the city.
Beautiful.
There's forests, there's grasslands, there's so many places to just go and wander for a few hours.
There, there are, like, I don't know, elements, for example, I mean, there's some, I don't know, I don't want to say like a ritual, because people get misunderstood the word, misunderstand the word, but like, for example, like you like to go in nature and sit, I don't know, in a stone and play flute, or you like to go and sit in front of the river. Which is your favorite spot and your favorite things to do in nature?
I mean, I usually just love to wander and just look for things. You see flowers, you see animals, and if you're quiet and you're in tune with what's going on around you, you can see so much life around you. So I actually, oddly enough, I don't take my instrument out into nature very often, but I go and I get that inspiration and then I bring it back with me.
So let's say that you want to go, let's say, for example, in nature and have more kind of a connection within yourself, that bring in the instrument. So you keep that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, I like speaking a little bit about musical influences, because you mentioned before one of the first, let's say, kind of epic folk, let's say, metal influence you had were Symphony X. But
Hmm.
between all among these bands, musicians, artists, which are the one that really, like, you listen like as Emma, and the one that you think influenced you musically. So it's two deep. So one personally, and one from when you compone your music.
I think I have two favorite folk metal bands.
Okay.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Is that even time? It's the big number you want.
I think the two biggest ones that I always go back to are Elevaty because they're so amazing, and I also love Equilibrium. Their music is
Yeah,
so good, and they incorporate flutes into their music too in such a fun way.
yeah.
Such
And
wonderful people in that band too. So yeah, I just love them so much.
who knows, maybe someday there could be a collaboration, because they are a super active band. They are not a retired band. They are
I
young.
know.
They're playing currently, so they're
Oh,
not
that
like,
would be a dream.
yeah. I mean, equilibrium are not hard. I think I interviewed them. I met once the drummer in a festival. We did that because he has a side project, like let's say death metal band. But I interviewed the singer Renee a couple of years,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
I was really impressed how really humble they are, how really friendly they are. So who knows? We can maybe there could be some collaboration in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, your music is beautiful. I mean, for at least a spiritual woman, it's a really beautiful song, and because you're not going through completely, let's say, folk or folkish music, because, like I think as well, like me or better than me, there are musicians that are completely dark folk or folk. Instead, you go, let's say I go a little bit folk, a little bit metal as well. So you can do both. And that's beautiful. And about your, let's say, your musical influences for the inspiration mainly for the composing your album or your own music, which
Mhm.
are, let's say, the musician, the bands that mainly contribute to that.
Yeah, I mean the two bands that I mentioned are huge inspirations
Okay.
for my composing as well. And I get a lot of inspiration from orchestral music still, especially soundtracks. I love listening to video game soundtracks, film soundtracks.
There is one,
Uh
Bear McCreary. He's amazing.
yes, he's so good. So good. Like his work on God of War, it's wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, big inspiration for sure. And yeah, I love the music that adds to these fantasy worlds and adds to these tales. And so I get a lot of songwriting inspiration from that as
I
well.
mean, but did you ever thought about doing something like that as well? For example, like doing some soundtrack, because folk music, especially folk metal music, it's really well requested by, I don't know, games company or movie company. Did you ever think about doing something like that as well, or did you ever try, or would you like to do it?
Yeah, I mean absolutely. I think like writing a fantasy soundtrack for a game would be a dream. I'm really lucky that so far I've been able to work as a session recorder for a number of video games. So
Okay,
I've worked with yeah, so I've worked with a few
that's cool.
composers who send me the music and then I get to kind of enhance their
Yeah,
music for the game. So that's been really fun and I've had
yeah.
a good number of opportunities to do that for the last few years. But yeah, doing a solo album for a video game would be amazing.
Yeah, like your own video game with your own, I mean, your own music for just one video game, let's say. How would you like to be that video game? I mean, there's a topic that you like in that. For example, I would like to talk about, I don't know, cars is an example. Of course not, but there is a topic about, like, for example, I would like to write music for that type of video game.
Uh I haven't thought about it. I mean, a fantasy video game, of course. Um Yeah, I haven't thought about it much more than that, but definitely a fantasy video game. I mean, I have a big list of games that I love. Anything based on the Dungeons and Dragons world is always a big one too.
Yeah, of course, beautiful. Yeah, and of course, I mean, just moving a little bit back to the growth, because of course it's gonna be released really. I mean, when the interview will be out, it will be already released, so we can talk a little bit about the song. For example, if I'm just I don't know, see this interview now, and I want to go straight forward to listen one song of the growth, apart Spirit Woman, which song would you recommend mainly? Like, let's say one song to get to know the sound, and one song that you Emma, like really feel it's that you like to play, that you enjoy to record mostly. Of course, I think all the album, but just one, just let's say two. One for that represent the album, let's say, and one that maybe for you was funnier, have beautiful memory. I don't know.
I I really like to recommend Heart of the Grove. So that's the second track on the album.
Okay.
And that one again, it's kind of this epic fantasy ballad, and so I love sharing that with people. And then the other song that I like to recommend is The Unnamed. That one is a fully instrumental track. That one has, I think, so fully instrumental track, and I think it really encapsulates my sound. It's got a nice combination of all the different flute sounds that I've created,
Beautiful.
the rhythms that I've written for, nice orchestration. So I think that one like really encapsulates a fun sound that I've created for myself.
Because I mean, you create basically, like I said, all the songs. So how it went this how let's say, how did it go this process of composing the album and then mastering and producing it? Because it's just you. So I mean, it wasn't, and plus the other artists that you were doing collaboration. How did it go, hold this mastering and producing and putting out the album?
Yeah. I did the entire songwriting myself. So all the orchestra parts that you hear, the bass, the guitar, drums, everything like that, I wrote initially and had these demos and then sent them off to the various musicians that I worked
Yeah.
with to enhance things a little bit. So obviously there was the vocalists. I also worked with a drummer on 3 of
Okay.
the tracks. So Spirit Woman and The Unnamed and then Heart of the Grove. There is a drummer on that track. So he took the things that I had written and then
The rhythm, the
yeah,
part.
and then made them better because I'm not a drummer and he was able to find ways to make them better. And then again with the guitar parts, I had used virtual instruments to write all the bass and guitar
Yeah.
parts. And the person who did my mixing and mastering is also a really fantastic guitar player. So he added an extra layer of rhythm guitars
Written
to
art,
just
a lot
enhance
of
that. Yeah.
work behind the Grove.
Hmm.
I mean, how long did it lasted all the process of since the beginning until the release, let's say?
It's been about 2.5 years.
Okay. I mean, I can imagine how you could be like excited about the release date.
Yeah, and it wasn't something that I worked on constantly that
Okay.
time. I would maybe work on it for a month or two and then I'd
Yeah,
take some time off and
yeah,
then
of
I'd
course.
come back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of, but let's say that now the main focus is the release. But there will be, I think, a single release before the release of the album, or we're gonna go straight to release of the album.
We're gonna go straight to the album after this.
Oh my God. So
Yeah.
basically, just give us, let's say, a taste of the album with Spirit Woman.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
you give a little bit of in the so because people have to follow you on the social media to see better
Yep.
because you show something that so something so you give on the social media a little bit of, let's say, a sip of the album as well, just to make them more curious. Admit it. But after the full release, you will be committed to do some live tour. Have you think about that? About performing live in North America?
Again, no
Okay.
big plans to perform live right now, just because again, the musicians I've worked with are quite spread out, and I think it would
Yeah.
be really complicated to organize a tour. I'm really focused on doing more soundtrack work with composers and maybe getting back to writing some
Okay.
brand new music after spending so much
Yeah.
time with these songs. I'm really excited now and have so much inspiration now to take that even further.
Yeah, of course, because of apart because it's like let's say your debut album, you're the as a solo, and then of course after 3 years you grow up, you changed, you develop, you had, I don't know, new knowledge, meet new people, anything. We just grow up every day. It's normal, grow up every day, and I mean we will have a lot of music coming from you,
Yeah.
let's say. And of course, I just want to ask you because of course your name is Emma. But why
Mhm.
Ember Belladonna? I mean, I know what is Belladonna, but it's for the herbs. Belladonna, you chose that.
Yeah, I don't really have any specific reason for
Yeah,
why I chose that name.
but
I thought
it's
Ember
quite
was
good.
fun because it kind of sounded like my name.
Yeah.
And then I just thought it sounded neat together. It was basically I tried out a whole bunch of different things and that one just felt right.
And plus, your logo is beautiful. Your logo is
Thank
beautiful.
you.
I watched the logo and I was looking at the logo. I was like, oh my god, I need to reach out that artist because I want my logo of Poison Rock did by him. Is amazing. Really, congrats. It's one of the most beautiful because it's simple, but it's beautiful. The art of your own logo. I mean, never change it, please, because it's beautiful. It's unique. Because it expresses everything your music has, and everything that folk music, fantasy music. I mean, the soul is there. So congratulations to the artist and
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I give a shout out to the artist?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that was done by Moonroot Art.
I love it.
Yeah, and he specializes in band logos and metal logos. Amazing artist. So a fun fact about that logo is I sent him all of the demo tracks for the album so he could listen to them while he drew. And then that's what came out of it.
This he has the core. It has the core of your music. The album, of course, that's something that I want to mention. It's going to be available in the platform or a physical copy as well.
So currently it's available on Bandcamp. It is available for pre-orders. I know this is gonna air afterwards, but it's available on Bandcamp and streaming services. And if there seems to be a demand for physical release, then that will definitely be something that might be available soon.
So let's say mainly at the moment it's gonna be like streaming and online. But let's say to the people, let's make some physical copy, because if we have a vinyl, which would be amazing, it's gonna stick us with the time and last longer. And it's always beautiful doing like having a physical copy, even autographs. Let's say if people ask for physical copy, Ember will sign it, let's say.
Absolutely, yes. If there is a demand, I will absolutely make it happen.
Of course. So I mean, let's say now the main we can say that the main things just about the releasing of the album, and after that we just gonna be some other video gonna be released, or just we will see what is going to happen.
Yeah, so after the album there will hopefully be at least 2 or 3 more videos throughout the rest of the year that people can watch for. And so there'll be 2 tracks off the album that will have some videos, and then one that'll be a little bit new.
So for a new kind of, let's say, future maybe album, let's say. So I mean, you're going to launch one album after another. I'm really pleased about that. And what can I say, Emma? It was a really pleasure meeting you, and I just wish you first all the best with this.
Thank you.
With this album, and as soon as the album is out, we're gonna do another interview with like a review of the album, like speaking about track number 1, track number 2, like together, and we're gonna talk and just to it's like a video review interview. And I can say my thought, you can say if I'm right, if I'm wrong, and if you want, you can even I don't know, let's bring even the vocalist can do a full interview.
I would love that. That would be so fun.
Yeah. That would be fun as well. And or even I can send I can send the album to someone that is in Poison Rock, and she very woman, she can listen and come to us from someone that has no connection with us and hear what she has to say, or some fan. We can involve even someone that wants to join us, like live. It would be something nice, because you have a lot of commitment for the social media, so especially in the web. And I hope to see more content of you, because I really love your content, because you have a way to capture people's attention that it's really big.
My gosh,
you are really natural and content. That's what I like, and that's why I'm here, and hope to be doing more interviews with you. So I know, and you will see that I'm right, that you will go further, really
thank you so much.
So 1 year by now, let's say, you will be really well known, even in Norway. I'm sure. I can bet. I can if I want to I can give you all the name now about all the musicians that will reach you out for doing collaboration from Norway. I know already, but we will see in a year by now. You will have like, okay, I'm working with that. Yeah. Especially in the let's say in the folk scene, there are really good musicians working in the composing movie soundtrack of movie or video games, like Katy Run and this musician like that. That's really good. I see kind of similarity with your music. That's really amazing. So wish you all the best. So the 9th of February, the Grove is out. Buy it. Require the physical copy, people. We need it. And wish you good rest of this cozy Sunday. For me, it's gonna be evening. And it was really a pleasure meeting you. Have a good rest.
Thank you so much for your support. It was so nice meeting you.
For me too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.